Welcome to Creative Companions, where we're all believing mirrors for one another. I'm so happy you're here. Happy you believe in me enough to show up, and I believe in you enough to show up. And here we are, week 6, halfway through The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Please hit me up in the comments and let me know that you're with me. It's 11 o'clock now. I'm going to talk real quick about what supplies we need for today's craft. Boo, I'm back. You'll need a piece of cardboard, whatever random size. I picked a big one for today. So 8 by 10 or larger is what I'm suggesting. You'll need some big brushes, acrylic paint, the biggest brushes you have, or if you don't have big brushes, I have like these spongy things, and I'm going to use these as an example of the fact that we often wait to create our art till we have the perfect tools. I've never had the perfect tools ever. So it's just a demonstration. I'm just going to do my painting today with these 2 sponges, and that's a challenge too. You can also paint with paper towels. You can wad them up and you could splotch with them, or you can smear with them, which is kind of like a paintbrush. So you don't have to have all the greatest tools. Grab what you got. And acrylic paints, you're going to want, I'm going to use 2 different tones of blue and white. So blue is the throat chakra, and using your voice is a challenge for me, so I want to work with blue today. So you might consider that when you're considering what color you want to work with, or just whatever hits you first. Grab those, a couple colors. Big brushes, water to rinse your brushes, paper towels, and then you're also going to need some kind of cutting tool. Hi, Christine. A utility knife, an X-Acto blade, some kind of blade that you can cut this cardboard with. You may possibly want some glue at the end. Okay, so those are the things we're going to need for today's craft part of our meeting. I'm going to show you, there's a couple behind me, on this side, of what we're going for. This is an art form utilizing cardboard, and as you know, I like to use cardboard for a lot of reasons, including that there's so much cardboard in the world, and what else were we going to do with it? And also, in using cardboard, it's another thing where you don't have to go out and buy anything. And if you don't have a white canvas that you spent money for, you also then don't have the expectation of yourself to do, wonderful. You play more. You can be more playful when your canvas is just simply this piece of cardboard. And for this particular art that we're going to do today, cardboard is the only canvas that will work. You couldn't do this. I couldn't make this with canvas, only with cardboard. So I'm going to show you some really cool things to do with our cardboard today. And as we do every week, we're going to start in a few moments here with meditation. Yeah, Christine, I just answered your question, didn't I? Yes, it has to be cardboard for today. I probably should have said that in the instructions, but cardboard is absolutely a necessary part of this particular craft. So if you don't have cardboard, you could do the painting part of it. You just won't be able to do the cutting part, and you could just watch during that time. And when you do have cardboard, try it. Okay. If you're new out there, by the way, I'm Kim. I'm your creative companion. I'm just one of you who stepped up here to be your guide through this creative process and the discovery of ourselves through the artist's way, silencing our censor. So we're going to begin meditation in a minute, and just as a reminder, why do we meditate in the first place? Well, Julia Cameron says in The Artist's Way, we meditate to get to the other side of our fear, of our negativity, of our moods, above all, beyond the censor. Beyond the reach of the censor's babble, we find our own quiet center, the place where we hear the still, small voice that is once our creators and our own. I'm doing my live feed. Call you later. Three. Three. Strike three. Um, okay, so we meditate to discover our own identity, our right place in the scheme of the universe, and to just come to now. For more than anything, for me, we meditate to feel ourselves in our bodies, in this room that we're in this present moment, to just let go of any worries about the future or the past or this morning or what we're going to do after this group. So just let all that go for consciously, so that we can be present with ourselves and the creative process for this hour that we're going to spend together making some art and talking about abundance. So as we do every week for meditation, just begin by finding your comfortableness in your seat, your feet on the floor. You can be leaned back in your chair. We're only going to be here for a few minutes. Um, Close your eyes if you are comfortable with that. If not, just cast your gaze downward. Maybe looking at your hands is a great Zen meditation for this one. And then, as always, focusing on the breath. Just in, deep breath in, and a long breath out. And then a deep breath in, and a long breath out. Just watching your breath in and out. And I'm going to do a little guided meditation from Louise Hay on the subject of abundance. This is a visualization meditation. So we're just asking you to continue to breathe and then visualize, if you will, that you're standing at the seashore, looking out at the vast ocean and knowing that this ocean is the abundance that is available to you all the time. Noticing in your hands you're holding a container. This is your container that you can reach into that ocean anytime, all the time, and scoop up abundance. Is your container a teaspoon? Is it a bucket? Is it a straw? Look around you now and notice there's lots and lots of us. We all have containers. And we're all dipping into that ocean of abundance. And no matter what kind of container we each have, there's plenty for everyone. You cannot rob another, and they cannot rob you. And in no way can you ever drain this ocean. It never runs dry. Your container is your consciousness, and it can always be exchanged for a larger container. Now, if you will, open your arms, open your hands, at least. With your hands open, know that you are now open to receive all of the good, all of the abundance available to you. I am open and receptive now. Breathing in and out still. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I am totally open and receptive to the abundant flow of prosperity that the universe offers. All my needs and desires are met before I even ask. I am divinely guided and protected, and I make choices that are beneficial for me. I rejoice in others' successes, knowing there is plenty for all of us. I am constantly increasing my conscious awareness of abundance. My good comes from everywhere and everyone. All is well in my world. Hmm. You can open your eyes if you want. You can keep breathing if you want. That just guided me to read one thing I wasn't planning to read in my notes. So you can open your eyes and come out of meditation. Welcome to the now. I'm going to read you something on this idea of abundance. This is something that I like to write, and I used to have it hanging on my art room door so that I would read it while I breathed every time before I went in to create art. Here's how it goes. It says, I dwell in the secret place of Most High. This is my own mind. All thoughts entertained by me conform to harmony, peace, and goodwill. My mind is the dwelling place of happiness, joy, and a deep sense of security. All the thoughts that enter my mind contribute to my joy, peace, and general welfare. I live, move, and have my being in the atmosphere of good fellowship, love, and compassion. I am at peace in my mind with all members of my household and all of mankind. Whoa. The same good I wish for myself, I wish for all. I am living in the house of love now. I claim peace and happiness. I claim peace and happiness, for now I dwell in the house of love forever. I did not write that. I wrote it down. Somebody else wrote it originally, but man, I like to read it. And I liked having that on my door there and being able to read that on the daily. So if you would like a copy of that, I can take a picture of it and you can have it too. Or you could just. I don't, unfortunately.
Well, we could Google it.
I bet we could. It's beautiful, right? Okay, so before we get into, oh, welcome, Felicia. I'm glad you're here. Amen to you. Peace. Um, before we get into talking about chapter 6, recovering a sense of abundance, we are going to start on our crafts so that you can be painting while listening. Um, no need to be nervous. We're just going to have fun. That's a quote from my granddaughter, River. Be still your little hearts. So grateful that you're here, grateful to be at the Grateful Hammock, grateful that my live audience, Donna and Bonnie, are here with me today. Yay. So I'm going with blues, like I said. So what we're going to do is just take your cardboard, and I'm going to start with my biggest tool I have here. Dip it in some water. With the acrylic paint, the water helps the paint move across the cardboard easier. And we're not even necessarily interested in how I would typically guide a painting, which is creating a background first and covering the cardboard completely. It's not necessary to do that. I'm going to start just with both colors on here. We're just going to make beautiful shapes and do whatever it does. I have no idea what my tool is going to do here because I haven't used this tool before. So I'm just globbing some paint on, and I'm going to start out by making some circles on here. And so what we're doing is we just want some shapes, some just different shapes, and make it pretty and take your time. There's no need to hurry. And know that, like with your brush, see how I'm spinning that? That's how you can make a perfect circle with whatever tool you have. Also, with painting, you can drag the paint and just make little, there's still some wet paint there, so I'll just play around with, y'all at home can see that, right? So this is kind of just do what you will. One thought I like to have for this particular project, and then we're talking about abundance, is growth, having the thought of growth. And for me, growth is organic. So, as I'll show you in this, one of my favorite of these cardboard pieces that I've done, I call that one growth. So, I just made a lot of leaf shapes to start with on here. So yeah, and using a big brush makes it fun because you can do like just wow, big broad strokes. We're not really thinking about this. We're not trying to, maybe just think of it as playing with your tool. For me, I'm just going to use this one tool and see what I can do with it, because this is just the first part of this piece of art. This is a work in progress that is going to go through quite a transformation. For right now, we're only going to paint on it for maybe 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to switch up what we're doing, but we'll come back to painting. So I'm kind of keeping you a little bit in the dark about, but there is no rules. There's no rules. Just do what you will. See how I'm just kind of just playing. So just play with your paint. I'm going to put mine down for a minute, give you guys time to paint while we talk about, oh, we need to do check-in. How about morning pages? Did you do your morning pages this week? Morning pages, 3 pages of brain drain, basically a journal for your eyes only. Donna, did you do any experimenting? You don't have to answer. Bonnie, you don't have to answer either, but if you want to, shout it out for me. You at home can answer in the comments if you journaled or not.
I did.
Yes. Any new things with your journaling? I know you've been journaling for a while.
I've been putting a lot of lyrics in there.
Oh, so it's
turning them into a spot.
Nice. So it's
the
turning
writing,
into
yeah.
the songwriting, which that's great. Okay, good. Um, so my journaling, I've been doing it for a very long time. My son's 27, gonna be, so 27 years. Um, this week was a little different. I noticed my depressive tendencies and anxiety that have not been in my consciousness for some time. I've been doing real well. The reason those things are here for me this week is I quit smoking, y'all. I quit smoking cigarettes, y'all. Ooh, look at my blue. And see, I'm just playing while I'm talking. I hadn't even looked at that, but that's looking kind of cool what I got going on here. I'm going to make some more circles. So my journaling sometimes was different this week. Instead of being all these positive affirmations, like profound thoughts, Boo Radley moments, it got the bitchy, whiny, oh my goodness, ick me came out a little bit. And I can silence that real quick now. I'm happy to say. And I don't need cigarettes to do it. So that was my experience. It was a little different with my journaling this week. I felt like I was parenting myself. I had to catch hold of myself a couple times and be like, yeah, for real. So yeah. So what about artist dates, y'all? Um, Anybody at home take an artist date? I'm going to look through the comments here a second. Good, Nancy.
One morning.
Ooh, poems, nice. Thank you. Doodled.
I doodled. I spent a morning doodling.
Nice, nice. Um, Artist date. Did I do an artist? My artist date is working on that oil painting, but I want to challenge myself this week to do something totally different. Um, because sometimes I make the painting like work, and the artist date is supposed to just be like fun. So I want to challenge myself to do something different. And I'd love to hear what other artist dates y'all did. What about reading the chapter? Did anyone read the chapter this week? Challenge, silence, chirp, chirp. That's okay. I will talk about it now. It's about recovering a sense of abundance. So it's about really looking at our concepts about money, and just like our creativity comes from source. What if money came from that same source, and we could learn to work with that and not and see where we have fear and blockage about receiving abundance. We have thoughts like money is bad. For many of us, we're raised to believe that money is the real sense of security. A dependence on ourselves and our creativity seems hearted, suicidal, even laughable. A dependence on source. Um, so we tell ourselves we'll pursue our art when we have enough money to do it easily. But when will that be? So that's one reason I use cardboard and play with weird tools. I don't need to have the money first to make the art. Do what you love and the money will follow. Do what you love and the money will follow. That's from the artist Sark. said that. Yeah, you love Sark, right?
Mhm.
And I read that years ago, and I've lived by that. I tell myself in the times of doubt, and I'm still painting, and what good is this? Well, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I love. The money will follow. I will be taken care of. We cling to our financial concerns as a way to avoid not only our art, but also our spiritual growth. We have to realize that our faith is in the dollar sometimes. Most of us harbor a secret belief that work has to be work and not play. And that anything we really want to do, like write, act, dance, paint, must be considered frivolous and be placed a distant second in our life. This is not true. It's a toxic old belief we need to look at. The more we learn to operate in the world based on trust in our intuition, the stronger our channel will be and the more money we will have, says Shakti Gawan. I like that. That's nice to think about. Money comes when you're doing the right thing, the thing that's meant for you. So in this chapter, she asks us a lot to think about that. Think about abundance moving towards us. It's just like receiving a compliment. We sometimes push those away. We also push away our abundance with things like self-sabotage. Yeah. How about this? Paul Hawkins says, always leave enough time in your life to do something that makes you happy, satisfied, even joyous. That has more of an effect on economic well-being than any other single factor. And I have found that to be true. So, making art begins with just getting into the moment and enjoying your day and enjoying the process. You know, people ask me, like, when is a piece of art done? When I decide it's beautiful. You can paint over and over and over. You can do over and over your interaction with your ideas about abundance, about your God concept, whatever. So, what we really want to do, what we really want to do, what our heart really wants to do, is what we're really meant to do. And when we do what we're really meant to do, then doors open for us. We feel useful. And then our work feels like play. How about that? So, I'm going to ask that you pause on your painting for a moment, put your brush down, and just watch me. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. And then you can make the choice of, do you want to paint some more, or do you want to start working with your knife? Okay, so what I have here is just, wow, just a bunch of random shapes, still a lot of cardboard showing through. So as you see in your cardboard, if you look at it from the side, you'll see the corrugation in there. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut to expose that corrugated layer. So I'm going to, at first, just start with one of my places where the cardboard shows, and that's the shape I'm going to cut out. So I'm going to, I'm going to have to put this down on the table to do it. Let me turn my camera so you can see. You don't want to cut all the way through. So you're kind of scoring the line, the shape that you're going to remove. Okay, so I'm going to remove the brown spot where the paint is not. Okay. Also, the pieces that you're going to take off right now, keep them. You might want them later. So just lay them aside. And they could be painted on, or the brown spots. It's for you to decide. So watch. So now that I've scored it, I'm just going to use my blade to get under there and get it started. And then you see it's peeling this top layer of cardboard off and leaving that corrugated. And you might have to pick some. I love tedious and picking at stuff. So where it stays in there, see how that's coming out? And see how this part right here stays in there? Just get in there with your knife and peel that out. So just take your time and start cutting out shapes. Now you could cut out, there you go. So I just cut out a big shape there. Now we're going to go back with paint later and paint in these places where we cut. But right now, let's just cut for a while and peel some paper. Okay, so see, that makes just a different texture there, you see? So now based on where I made that first cut, I'm going to decide where to make the second cut. I'm going to go back to this one a second to show you some stuff. So see, some places I just cut like a thin line and peeled that out. In this one, some places I cut like a whole leaf shape, the leaf shape that I had painted, I cut that out. And then later, I glued those leaf shapes back on. Here's one here. Okay, so there's lots of options here. I'm going to show you one more thing. Once you've cut down to that corrugated spot there, you can cut again. And I'll do it on mine that I just did because there's another layer of just flat in there. So here we have the corrugated. I'm going to cut just a portion of this to show you the difference. So I'm cutting now, again, the same spot, but still not cutting all the way through. And then I'm going to peel up. So now I have a deep spot. See that? Where is it? So I have this deep spot. I have this corrugated spot. Your deeper spots, when you paint those dark, that gives it a lot of depth. So as you see on this one, where I went all the way deep like that, then I painted that really dark, and that gives you dimension and depth. So you can cut some places down to the corrugation, and you can cut further. One more thing. Again, keep your pieces you peel off because you might want them. Where'd that other one go? The gold one. Oh, here it is. I made a little door out of one of my glued on pieces. So where I had cut down really deep, then I made out of that piece I cut off, I made it into a little door there and glued it back on. And then I have a little door that opens and it says "Be Here Now" inside. I painted that later. So there's just like so many options you can do. And see, these are pieces that are glued back on. Right? So just have fun with it. I absolutely love making these. The possibilities are just limitless with what you can do with just cardboard. Bernie Calhoun of Doddridge County, West Virginia, discovered this art form. She is an art teacher, I believe retired now. And she taught me at an artist group that I get to participate in West Virginia when I'm there, the Arts Guild. And I've been making them and teaching people ever since. So it's a lot of fun. So go ahead and just cut away there. Very good. So next we're going to talk about luxury. And what does luxury, having a sense of luxury in our life? For those of you who have become artistically anorectic, yearning to be creative and refusing to feed that hunger in ourselves so that we become more and more focused on our deprivation, a little authentic luxury can go a long way. The key word here is authentic, because art is born in expansion, in a belief in sufficient supply. It is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance that it brings us. For me, like, I wear this for group every week. This is my Grandma Mary's, and it gives me a sense of luxury and fancy. And I feel abundant. I bought this ring for myself when I first started traveling. It gave me a sense of abundance, and I felt pampered, and I feel fancy when I wear my ring. So things like that. It can be so little, you know. So she asks you to look at what constitutes pampering for you. What makes you feel pampered? How can you pamper yourself? Somebody I know bought herself a nice, warm, fuzzy robe with stars on it. That was good pampering. My daughter always says, "Oh, and now I'm going to treat myself." I love that sentence. What are you going to treat yourself with today? So sometimes we're blocked because we're like that little child that's not getting what they want, and so then we become pouty, and then we're not creating art. You know, so often, we are sitting around worrying about our bills and our lack of money, and we say that's why we're blocked. But the actual block is our feeling of constriction, our feeling of powerlessness. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice. At the most basic level, this means choosing to do self care. Choosing to do self care even when you don't feel like doing self care. Choosing to do self care when your addicted self wants to smoke a cigarette in the last 6 days and you really don't want to. Um, and then when you find that you can do things different than you used to, you can get up and, oh, I don't feel like getting up and moving this morning and doing anything, but instead dragging your ass in your jammies to your art studio and picking up the brush. And then finding yourself an hour later feeling completely different and so much better. And then recognizing that and giving yourself credit, thanking yourself. Thank you. Thank you for making that food for me. That made me feel better. Thank you for taking me to the art studio, Kim, and getting me painting today. That helped me feel better. Instead of just sitting with it, there is always something that you can do. So enjoy your life. Just enjoy your life. And as you learn to enjoy your life, things start to fall into place more. Um, we talk about time and just taking time for ourselves and time for our self care. Georgia O'Keeffe says, to, look, I'm making fingerprints on mine now because some of the paint was still wet. So we'll just go with that and smear some paint there. Because remember, our artist is a child and he's just playing. Georgia O'Keeffe says, um, to see a flower takes time. Like to have a friend takes time. How sad that we haven't time. So to create a piece of art takes time. It takes you honoring your artist self and your time. In order to thrive as artists, and one could argue as humans, in order to thrive as humans, we need to be available to the universal flow. When we put a stopper on our capacity for joy by anorectically declining the small gifts of life, we turn aside the larger gifts as well. When you're not thankful for the dime, you don't get the dollar. And if you know me, I am thankful to be increasing my wealth every penny that I find on the sidewalk. Every penny that I find, I pick it up and say, I am thankful to always be increasing my wealth. And this is how we reprogram ourselves. So ask yourself, what gives you true joy? Concerning luxury, what would be a little, oh, I know, dusted truffles. What is it?
I was gonna say when I bought the guitar, something
Yes.
that I was gonna enjoy playing, something that was gonna make me feel
A
good
toy.
every time.
So look at it that way. Bonnie bought herself.
It's a toy and a tool.
It's a toy and a tool, just like my camera, my paintbrushes. Yes, work can become play. Play is work. What I wear to work is much different than what I used to wear to work when I was a business person. I'm still a business person, but now I'm mostly an artist. I'm an artist and I can dress like one. So that's fun too. So for many blocked creatives, it takes a little work to even imagine ourselves having luxury. A luxury is a learned practice for most of us. We're Cinderellas of the world often, focused on others at the expense of ourselves. We may even be threatened with the idea of spoiling ourselves a little. What we're talking about when we discuss luxury is very often a shift in consciousness more than flow. Although we may acknowledge and invite what feels luxurious to us, we may indeed trigger an increased flow. So just like the meditation we did, imagine your container getting larger, right? And what can come to you. Creative living requires the luxury of time. I was just saying that. Now Julia says it. The luxury of space for ourselves. making a space for ourselves. Donna gave herself a lovely artist studio that she's allowing us to share right now. That's honoring your artist, giving yourself the luxury of having a space to create in that you honor by having boundaries and calling that your own. An artist child likes stuff that's mine. We like mine. We like having our own tools and our own space for sure. And then we can find that voice that is our own. So I hope you're enjoying the cutting process. You know, like I enjoy the sound of the cardboard peeling up. I enjoy picking all the little, no hurry, no worry. Learning to slow down is a practice. You know, even with our art, it's okay to take your time and stretch the project out for days on end. If that's what happens, that's fine. So much of what we do in creative recovery may seem silly. Silly is a defense that our wet blanket of an adult self uses to squelch our artist child. So beware of silly as a word you toss at yourself. Your artist date should be silly. That's the point. It's good to have fun. You got to know how. And if you've forgotten how, you can relearn. It's like riding a bike. You can remember,
and
like
blowing bubbles.
like blowing bubbles and hula hooping. That was a whole lot of fun. I'll share that video again sometime. So I'm still just cutting away here. And let's see what time we got. Okay, so we'll cut for a little bit longer. I'll cut for a little bit longer and then I'll do another painting demonstration for this final part. I want to cut a big shape out here. Also, Bernie, who taught me to make these cardboard arts, like she would go all out with gluing pieces back on, putting different textures of paint on it maybe, and then in the end, when it was finished, spraying it with a clear finish and then framing it in a shadow box. So it's very three-dimensional. You know, some of the pieces that stick off of it can stick out really far. So yeah, very fun. I hope y'all are enjoying it too. Please share your work. If you didn't share your dots yet from last week, also share your dots. We'd like to see those too. So the next part of the artist way, she asks you to do counting as an exercise. Basically just keeping track of where your money goes to just get an idea. I don't like to think about money that much. And she gave some good things like an exercise, like she usually does, just quick brain drain. Money makes people fight, money makes people generous. If I had more money, I'd have more money if I wrote I hadn't gone nuts. I'd have more money if I worked more. My dad thought money was. So again, like we are identifying our thoughts about art, our thoughts about God, our thoughts about the universe, our thoughts about ourselves. Here we're examining our thoughts about money and abundance. Do you really think we live in the land of abundance? Do we live in an abundant universe? Well, I say all the birds and the flowers and all the miracles all around me prove to me that we live in a land of abundance. There's abundance of everything. Okay, so once we get this peeled off here,
I'm having a really hard time peeling today.
Peeling it?
Yeah.
Are you not cutting deep enough
No,
maybe?
I'm cutting deep enough, but it's like
Is it damp maybe? Your cardboard's too damp from the
Maybe.
paint? Maybe you need to let it dry a little bit?
Possibly.
Yeah, because that might be part of it. Because the cardboard's kind of damp anyway with our climate here today where we are. Yeah, so if you're having problems with the peeling part, maybe let it dry for a while. If you put the paint on heavy in an area where you're trying to peel, it might be a little too wet. And this definitely might be a project that you aren't going to complete in this hour of our group today. You might work on it later. I'm going to show you here in just a second as far as going. Look at that nice shape I peeled off that's already painted blue. I'm definitely going to save that for later. I hear you peeling now, Bonnie.
Oh no, I just messed it up, but whatever.
Oh, there are no mistakes. You just,
well, that's exactly.
right? Okay, so in these places where I have cut away, I haven't even peeled that real good, but I kind of think that looks cool because that's going to kind of look like a world, an earth to me. So I'm going to grab now my smaller tool. And first I'm going to take my darkest color that I used and paint the deepest spots because that's my shadows. So I'm just going to smudge some paint in there. I might want to take a small, flatter brush. Actually, I grabbed a rounder one. That's okay. That will go down in these grooves so that I can paint down all the way down in there, and then I'll paint the tops of them a different color. So I'll paint down in the groove, and it's okay if some gets on the top. I'll go back over it. But I want my shadow areas to be the darkest color, so I'm going to paint in there. Okay, and then let's, oh, I know what I want to show you. So sometimes the the darkest area I think of as, ooh, that's a whole nother universe back there. So you might flick some white in there. Remember all the other painting techniques that I've taught you? As you're wrapping this thing up, you could do some dry brushing, if you remember that, to kind of give things a glowy effect. I'm going to do a little flicking of some white, if I can find my white. Does anybody see the white paint?
It's right here.
Oh, thank you. You know, and affirmations, hopefully you've been using some affirmations in your journal. Be extravagant with your affirmations. Think of a sense of luxury where that's concerned. I am thankful, you know, for a while for me it was, I am thankful for my home on wheels. That was a luxury I didn't have yet, but I saw it coming. And so dream big in your affirmations. I hear the laughter of a child. Okay, so I'm going to flick some paint now. So what I'm showing you now is just, it's limitless how you finish these off. Look at that. So I'm just doing some flicking of paint there. Now that I have white on this brush, I'm going to do the top parts of my, where I had cut here. Remember I did the down in part with the dark color. Now I'm doing the white on that top ridge. Just easily just stroking a little white across there. Well, I have some white on this brush. Let's just put some more white here. That looks pretty cool, right? Check that out. So those are the kinds of things you can do. You can also, see what I did? You can also take those pieces that you cut off and perhaps, you know, glue it on over here. It could overflow your cardboard, you know, and become really even bigger than the piece of cardboard that you started with by gluing those pieces on. So just have fun with it, wrap it up, make it beautiful. Feel free, and even at the end, once you have done all your cutting and peeling, if you wanted to get smaller brushes out and paint on top of that, I mean, we did one of these that spanned all 12 weeks of Creative Companions once.
That's cool.
In Ohio. That we brought the same board. We used a bigger board than this, but we brought the same board to group every week and worked on it. And we'll do that together sometime, I think. So that brings us to the end of chapter 6. What time is it? Only 44 minutes. I can talk more. Lawrence Calcagno, I'm not saying that right, I'm positive, but he says, as an artist, it is central to be unsatisfied. What? As an artist, it is central to be unsatisfied. This isn't greed, though it might be appetite. So, like when we finish a piece, we're not, ta-da, I'm done forever. No, we have an dissatisfaction Another piece. We're still, we're still always creating, always growing. That's an appetite. Yeah. Delicious anticipation for what comes next in our creative life, right? Yes, yes. Um, so she asks us at this point, since we're halfway through, to read the basic principles again. So I'm going to end with that today. You all just keep on working on your art, and thank you so much for being here this week. I'm going to read you the basic principles while you continue to create. And these are just what we're trying to embrace, ideas that we're trying to get our heads around and work with as we recover as creative beings to the highest creative being we could possibly be. So the basic principles say, number one, creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. Number two, there is an underlying, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. Mhm. Number three, when we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. Number four, we are creations, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. Number five, creativity is our nature. Using our creativity is our gift back to nature. Number six, the refusal to be creative is self will and is counter to our nature. Number seven, when we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to good, orderly direction in our lives. Number eight, as we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. Number nine, it is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. It is safe to try that thing. Number 10, our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move towards our dreams, we move towards our divinity. Bam. And then I'm going to read you this from the Talmud. Every blade of grass has its angel that bends over it and whispers, grow, grow. And if every blade of grass has its angel, don't you think every one of us do? And at least we have each other, creative companions who are here looking on one another saying, grow, grow, friend, grow. I believe in your growth. I have paint on my face. That means it's been a good session. I love you all. I'm thankful that you are here. I'm thankful that you are believing in your artist self and trying new things. Um, I would be curious to hear your comments on how this Artist Way group we're halfway, So how has this affected your creativity, your life in general thus far? I'd be curious to know. So if you would want to share such personal things in the comments, that would be great. If you've forgotten your breath, I ask you to just take a few deep breaths here with me at the end. And even sigh them out. Feel no dread about getting on with your day or of the week ahead. You can handle whatever comes your way. I believe in you. Today is a good day. Best day ever. Next week, we're going to meet again, and we will be reading chapter 7, Recovering a Sense of Connection. So, I think that will be interesting. Thank you for connecting with us here today. I'll share my art when I'm done, and hopefully you will as well. We love you. Have a good week. Yay.